Live here on the Independent Investor Channel live stream, and take this opportunity and welcome first and foremost the subscribers to the Independent Investor Channel. Your devote subscribership and really being an ambassador and an advocate for the message here, doing your part as an independent investor as part of this community. Your success in no small part is really the success of what we're trying to advocate for here. A little bit different approach. This is the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube for me, no doubt about it. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me the opportunity to come on and talk to you kind folks about the investing opportunity, how it's evolved over the last 5 years. I've been doing YouTube now. It seems like a shot in the bucket, man. The time has gone by so fast. The investing portfolio has done its thing, you know. I go back just 5 years and I look at where we were financially in the accounts, less than six figures total net worth, and now well over the $500,000 mark. We've digressed a bit over the last couple weeks. That's totally fine. I've been somewhat off the grid, to be honest with you, looking to turn over a new leaf, I think, in my application. I've admitted a few times, and for you guys that are with me a little bit, you'll know straight up, I do wear my heart on my sleeve. I am a human being, first and foremost. I don't come onto YouTube to profess to have any of the answers or be anything special, other than the fact that I do acknowledge that, good on me for wanting to come on and share a testimonial, that of which would not be possible without the power of social media. Number one, I get it. To offer candid and robust talk about holding people's view of money in check and holding people accountable to not always buy in to what people tell you what you need to think about money. Okay, I've said this many, many times. The more independent you can be with your thought and your application, investing, how you assess risk, how you deliberate on taking certain positions, how you look to justify the investing opportunity as a whole is going to really define your degree of separation between groupthink and your ability to be independent. Let's just be real. Okay. So the robust and candid discussion may get under some people's skin. It's totally fine. I don't apologize. I retain creative control on the Independent Investor Channel. That's what people enjoy about it, because at the end of the day, people really want to look in the mirror and retain some level of creative control over not only their investing application, but their spending discipline, and they want to feel like they've got some level of control. Make no mistake about it. These are the avenues that we teach upon, right? To coach you up if you get a little light on your application, to provide a little bit of motivation and some feel good, right? An opportunity to come in for a few minutes. And I know for a lot of people, 60 minutes is a huge deal. I used to do this live stream for 2 hours. Some of the devout folks that have been supporting of the message for a long, long time understand my angle, looking at my approach and what I'm trying to do. Know that I could come on and talk 6 hours about personal finance, because I think the topic is infinite, yes, but I think at the end of the day, a lot of people need to understand a lot more about money. They need to understand a lot more about the forms of money. Okay, what does it mean when you see that number in your savings account or your checking account or your other established buckets of invested capital? Do you have invested buckets of capital? Are you scared of starting in the stock market? Ryan, stock market's like gambling, right? It's gambling insofar as you can't justify putting $50 to work in an investment profile for yourself. Remember, when I started this Independent Investor Channel journey some 5 years ago, the landscape was extremely different than it is now. You can invest for free. So all barriers have been absolutely destroyed with regard to your entrance to the market. Multiple buckets that you can participate in to satisfy even the most conservative investor profile and strategy out there. And of course, those opportunities which do take on more risk with more of a reward type of profile as well. Profiles out there to conserve wealth, right, later on in life, whether or not you want to enter into some of those diamonds of the stock market that we all know and love. When was the last time you thought of Costco as a phenomenal investment opportunity? One of my favorite stores to even go into, I'm like a kid, and it's Home Depot. I love going into Home Depot and walking around. When was the last time you thought about that as an investment profile? I own the full suite of the Google, Facebook. I just think the Internet of Things is quite frankly a very intriguing area to be in the stock market. Amazon had a very nice week this week. We will get into and walk through the portfolio reviews as I always do. I do also want to take this opportunity to welcome. There may be a few guests in here that are, as a result of me frequenting somewhat of a gossip thread, I guess, through YouTube. There's some sources of phenomenal information in there, and that's quite frankly what I gravitate to. There's some entertaining material. Obviously, it is open forum and it's free of charge to enter, so you never really know who you're going to get in there. Hey, no problem, man. At the end of the day, even the people who go in there and troll some of those threads, man, sometimes I feel like those people might have the, need the greatest amount of tutelage in their life, their application. Maybe they just need help. I'm not really sure. Maybe they know exactly what they're doing. On an online forum, you really can't tell from next to another. But I do typically, I know Verge dropped some questions in there, wanted me to engage a little bit on the Hyliion discussion. I haven't dropped a video through the Independent Investor channel for a while, albeit maybe 5-6 weeks anyway since I've uploaded one. There's a reason for that. I was coming out with them pretty frequently because at $7.68, I felt like it was laughably oversold. I believe here in the low tens, it's also laughably oversold. But does it have the potential to return back to those laughable levels? Certainly. And I don't want people to misassociate their own risk, stumble into the Independent Investor channel opportunity, misconstrue what it is that I'm saying, not understand the totality of my risk evaluation of a Hyliion, for example, and how I'm probably more apt to buffer those volatile swings from day to day in the stock, which quite frankly, I made a post the other day about the stock, and I made the point of investing in the company and not the stock. All right. I think a lot of people look at the price action day to day, and they, allow their emotion to get kind of caught up in those day to day price fluctuations, and really don't acknowledge, look, if there's nothing going on with the company, then there's nothing going on. Okay. They're not going to revolutionize trucking overnight. And they've come out and they've echoed this same sentiment. And I think it really does take or provide an opportunity for you to sit back and say, what is the real play here in this opportunity? Do I have unrealistic expectations of a specific stock? Am I over-levered? Have I stepped outside of my risk tolerance and stepped into a position where I was only looking at one outcome as being the outcome that was going to satisfy what it was that I was looking to get out of entering into the position, right? And now it's done the opposite, that of which it does a lot of the times in stock market investing. A stock will inevitably do something that is unpredictable to do. I always say that there's either one of two outcomes: either it goes up or it goes down. And a stock has a weird way of doing sometimes neither one of those two things. But it's stock market investing. There's no doubt about it. And to understand the risk reward profile is an interesting one. And I'll give you kind of an example. I've owned ExxonMobil for over 5 years. Okay. Society would say, Ryan, you're good. You're in that. It's a Dow component, right? I think it's actually just moved out of the Dow. I might be right on that. But Dow component for a long, long time. There's always an old saying, hey, you'd never lose money with ExxonMobil. Well, crude fell on its ear. You guys remember, price of crude, I believe, dipped almost near 20, if not below 20 a barrel. All major oils suffered, right? started the discussion really at that time of looking at alternatives. Now, 10 years ago, when the alternative fuel craze and the solar craze came out, it caught fire and then it died out. Okay. I think the electric vehicle market right now is here to stay. I do. I think that there are trends that are emerging that are mega trends and multi-year trends that are going to be around forever. Do I think fossil fuels are going away? No, I don't. I actually think there's going to be a place for BEV. I think there's going to be a place for short, medium term applications in the commercial space for hauling our goods. I think people are really going to look at it from a solution standpoint and look to pick the solution that is, number one, available, and number two, economically feasible, because the groundswell that people don't really acknowledge a lot is that big institutions out there that have built companies on the precedence of efficiency, getting goods from point A to point B as quickly as possible, have now been almost forced into a corner to acknowledge, look, maybe there's a smarter way to go about said business plan of moving goods from point A to point B. Some of our goods need to be moved long distances, and those moves require a lot of horsepower to get them those longer distances, right? In other words, they need to be able to power those longer routes, okay? So in certain capacities, there are certain solutions out there that might work. Hydrogen fuel cell, right, is the other solution out there. And then of course, some of your solutions that Hyliion is actually really the industry standalone on with regard to the compressed natural gas and the renewable natural gas element, right? So it's exciting time. I think we're slightly premature a little bit in just jumping in with both feet, especially if we can't stomach the volatility from now until inevitably when these opportunities tend to work out. So some robust and candid discussion. I would invite your comments to drop into the thread here. This is 60 minutes that I open up here over the airwaves to engage in a Q&A with you fine folks. I would not want to spend my time, which is absolutely invaluable, like yours is, in any other place other than with you kind folks on the Independent Investor Channel live stream. So welcome to the show. Friday, 9 o'clock. It's going to be robust. Of this opportunity and what it can mean for individual investors, certainly. And I've got Valencia, Andres. Thank you. You know, it could. The stocks do that. They go up and they go down. Right. There's no surprise here. And I think you guys are going to be extremely encouraged by my demeanor. I've been investing a long time. And what I was going to say about the comparison between how an investment like Exxon is somehow socially acceptable. It's within my wheelhouse as a real retail investor. If I wanted to dabble in the single stock arena, to go ahead and enter into shares of Exxon, which 5 years ago I did. It entered into a pretty large position. And over the last 5 years, I've taken it into some extremely deep water. Here I am sitting on the precipice of coming back into the black for the very first time. In other words, I've held the stock for 5 years, haven't made a dime. In the eyes of society, that's somehow socially acceptable, right? But when you look at a higher risk, higher reward type of scenario, like a Hyliion, which is not for the faint of heart, okay? If you want to call it speculative, you can do that, okay? If that's what makes you feel good, to put Hyliion in somewhat of a box here, I put it into just a unique category of a company that I have shares in earlier on in the evolution of a story that is really in the first inning of its story, Okay. Now, when I say that tongue in cheek because as a shareholder in the company and a rather large one at that, I'm actually extremely satisfied at the timetable that's been kept, yes, but some of the pleasant surprises that seemingly are breezed over. Now, I'm not going to argue the fact that the stock has been disappointing, to say the least. Okay, whatever that means. Now, my assessment or the fun opinion that I dub on the stock, it shouldn't really have anything to do at all with your investing thesis on the company. Okay, if you think the company is going out of business, then therefore the stock will cease to exist, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll be either right or wrong on your application. I totally get that. Okay. But I think it's important really to understand that stock market investing needs to be understood from a multifaceted strategy in application. In other words, do you do passive investing, right? Do you do dividend growth investing? Okay. Do you invest at all? Is Hyliion your only holding, right? Somebody said if I invest in this stock, I could get rich, right? So where's the riches? I've been investing in the company for 3 weeks, Ryan. I hold 100 shares. What gives, you asshole? Like, where? Show me the money. Let's go. I think some of that, like, these aren't bad people that are coming up with these, right? You can say what you want. Like, if you're unhappy with the performance of this company because you had a bullish thesis like I did, and you're disappointed in the stock performance, lovely. At the end of the day, all this back and forth and all this deliberation comes down to one very, very simple question that you'll have to answer for yourself. Do you invest in the company or do you not? Very, very simple. Okay. Hyliion for me and the opportunity that it presents here at $10.36, 39 cents today at the close represents an upside potential that I cannot dub to, let's say, an ExxonMobil. Okay. Furthermore, Hyliion presents an interesting risk reward proposal in that if you're going to realize those big profits, those big potential moves, you're going to have to get into the company while there's a few X factors going on. In other words, Hyliion is not going to put a neon green bow on top of it and give you an invitation card VIP to go ahead and tell you the exact number of shares to buy at the exact price that you'll need to buy it at. Nor is it going to come with a neon green crystal ball, which tells you exactly when said stock is going to go up to X on a target price. Okay. That's just not realistic at all. The greater the amount of risk that an investor is willing to take is going to render the maximum amount of profits. Mark my word. If the stock doubles from 1039 and goes to 20, okay, which could very, very easily happen, there's going to be more people excited at investing in the company over $20 than they are excited about investing in the company here at 1039. If you can explain that to me, okay, you're probably better than me. But this is just the game that we exist in, okay? A lot of inexperience across the retail arena, getting in way too over their head, really not understanding what it's going to take to turn a company like a Hyliion into a positive investment. And it was all the way back in the inception of early 2020 when the SPAC rolled out the investor presentation, detailed their forecast out to around 2024, 2025. It was one of those very, very first elements of deliberation that I looked at, and I said, look, if I'm going to invest in this stock, it could go up fast, it could go down fast. None of that really should be a criteria to enter the stock now, unless I'm bullish on the company and willing to keep the stock for as much as 5 years. Now, this was in 2020. So you need to be very, very careful with that application. Sometimes when you look at that, you think, okay, well, 5 years down the line, I'm going to hold the stock. It can sometimes be an excuse to enter into a stock that you may be missing some due diligence on. Okay. Now, there are no perfect applicators out there. Okay. In other words, this investment could, like any investment, turn on its ear. Okay. Is ExxonMobil going to be around 50 years down the line? Are they on the front of the leading technology or the back end? Okay. You could give a nice bull bear thesis on where you think fossil fuels will end up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line. Some estimates say that petro is going to be fueling our trucks indefinitely in some capacity going forward, right? It's just going to be that sweet spot on where this supplemental on the green initiative comes into place to start to allow these companies to not take such a black eye all the time for leaving such a negative footprint on the environment. And I think the bottom line is going to have to stay. Okay, as long as companies are not being forced and their hand is not being forced to do that transition at all costs, then they're going to keep the status quo. It's just very, very simple. It's a very, very simple decision for companies to say, look, this is what's working. This is what's reliable. This is what's currently efficient. Yes. But the reliability element is the key. And if you don't have that catalyst and you don't have that ability to really transition and leverage into something that's much more efficient for these companies out there, then the status quo will remain the same. And Hyliion's looking to challenge the status quo in a way to provide the solution. Anybody who's done due diligence on the company knows exactly what I'm talking about. And my job is not to come on here and sell you on a specific company. That's not my job. I'm open and honest with my position. I'm not trying to influence the stock in any way. I have conviction on the stock to know that it's going to be at X price target somewhere down the line. Talking about it now, so premature in the game, is somewhat futile, right? If in fact my conviction on the stock had me looking at the prospects out into 23, 24, and 25, and we're looking 7 weeks away here from the Hypertruck ERX rollout, we're talking about a Hypertruck Innovation Council representing 100,000 fleet owners, guys. I just, the writing is too heavy on the wall. And yes, my dollars are at risk right now in the company, but my definition of risk and the reward profile that exists therein, hopefully you can take a little bit of an element of insight, because I haven't done a Hyliion video for about 6 weeks or so. But I was pumping those out when the stock was at $7.30, $7.45, $8 a share. I was loading up on put contracts, and I was making a small fortune doing so. I was also buying common shares in the stock. I bought 400 today just because it was fun, and I can. God bless America, baby. Investing is an opportunity, guys. And if you ever lose track of that and you start to look at investing as a detriment, take a step back, reevaluate your program, and really, really be honest with your capability. I tell you what, a lot of the substantiation justification that I can muster to enter into a stock like this right now and do so in a strategic manner. I'm throwing 100 share bullets at this thing, basically. Today was a 400 bullet fire away. It was totally fine. The way I substantiate that is because I have multiple buckets of wealth, guys, built up from zero over time. A lot of swing trading profits, right? Established in not only tax protected accounts, but I don't disclose, and I haven't come out this year with my swing trading profit, but in the brokerage account alone, I'm already supplementing my day job, which I do have for you guys that don't know, $14,000 just in the brokerage of swing trading profit, right? So that helps kind of buffer if it makes you feel better. Me, I could give two shits either way. Doesn't matter to me what the day-to-day fluctuation is. Here we are, middle 2021. My conviction was out 2024. What are you bitching about? Are you bitching to bitch? Or is it just one of those things that, you're ill prepared to understand? You don't have confidence in the due diligence, right? Sorry for the robust and candid discussion there, but sometimes people really need to recalibrate, recheck what it is they think they understand about the stock market, The bottom line for me, obviously, is I'm an investor in the company. Okay. I think at $10.39 for a lot of retail investors, this will be that opportunity to get in on the ground floor of a company and put yourself in a position to look back and say, I did it, and not look back and say, I should have done it. Right? You ever done that before? Sure. If you've ever been involved with stock market investing, you'll know that opportunities will come and go, and you'll be that investor. And anymore, I win a lot of the time with my investments. I lose a few and pick a few lemons here and there. It happens, right? But I have a very, very short memory about the stock market investing. But if you're not paying attention to say, good grief, where was I when Apple was at X price, or where was I when Microsoft? I remember looking at the ticker tape when I started investing when I was a young boy, and it was at $20 a share. Apple in those low amounts. I remember Amazon at $7 a share when it first started. And it's like, man, what was I thinking? Well, it's easier now to say that stuff in retrospect. And typically, you're not provided a whole lot of validation when companies, and especially stock, are in those positions. And in all fairness to any stock investor out there going through a deliberation, that in fact, from a risk reward profile, is the very toughest time to pull the trigger and establish the position for the long term in a company. I just so happen to have that established right now in Hyliion, and I'm happy to share the journey with you guys. It's totally fine. When and how it ends up getting to my price target, I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised to know that I won't change my demeanor one bit. You guys that have been with me a while know I don't change my approach for anybody, and good on me for being open and candid with my position. It's right there at the top of the thread if you're wanting to understand like where my conviction lies. But it's to each his own on the stock, and I only provide my tutorial on the stock just aimed to help people, because 100 shares in the company here at $1,000 investment. If it gets to my price target, that's a $10,000 bill for you. Who couldn't take that accelerated start at a $10,000 bill? For risking $1,000. Look, guys, I'm going to be kind of real with you a little bit here. If you invested and bought 1,000 shares in the company right now, you'd be investing 10,000. Okay. If the stock went down $1, you'd be so pissed off at me, it wouldn't even be funny. But how come the vast majority of society goes out there? Now, you can't find a car for $10,000, but if you could drive half a car down the road, that's the justification that society is absolutely acceptive of you in your deliberation on a purchase that's 100% justified, when in reality, 5 to 10 years down the line, that automobile is going to turn into dust and it's going to be worth nothing. In 5 to 10 years, where could $10,000 of Hyliion be worth? I'll leave that rhetorical question to you only to strike a little bit of perspective at this deal, because society is not going to help you out. Okay. Now, one of my most respected YouTubers came out and made a pretty controversial statement about financial security and wealth being the all-encompassing reason to put the middle finger up to society and say, F you, I made it, I did this and that. That to me constitutes a little bit of insecurity and, quite frankly, some anger issues. I'm not going to change a bit. I'm doing this really for the sake of the investment, right? That's where I get off as an investor, is in the strategy, the application, the ability to take everything in my God-given power, right, in expertise in reading, doing due diligence, understanding themes and trends, understanding what industry demands, right? Is there a need for the product, right? Those types of things, where the leadership lies. What type of internal team exists on the leadership team? All those things are right there at your disposal to either discredit or, put in the positive category, the negative category, whatever it may be. I see Blood Phantom in the group here. If you guys haven't subscribed to Blood Phantom 81, did a really good tutorial on Hyliion actually just this week. And so one of the few guys, Alex, runs a fantastic channel. Please go over, just subscribe. I know he's a lot like me, and that he's like, if you like me, great. If not, get the hell away. I'm good. And he's one of those few channels that actually I'm very vocal with the fact that I don't watch YouTube, but Alex is one of those guys that I really respect and does a great job. Very diplomatic in his approach. Kind of gives you somewhat of the real talk, kind of admits sometimes that maybe he's wrong, which is what I do, which is in line with the way a lot of investors actually should approach this gig. Okay. You're not going to be right all the time, but I just think he did a good job, and he delivers the video from a technical perspective, which I appreciated. So you'll get a little mix of my fundamental application. I think some of the technicians right now trying to do technicals, which Alex did a good job walking through the technicals on the video. I think is really difficult on a company like that doesn't have a historic precedence. It's got a mountain at 58, and it's got a base here over the last 6 months at $10. Let's be real. And it really hasn't provided the technicians any type of historical ranges to work off of. And I think sometimes that can skew the averages in such a tight amount of time frame. But that's going to become more predictable, right? Once the revenues start to flow, once the orders start to flow in, the stock is going to start to react to some of those injects. Whereas right now, it doesn't have any. It doesn't have any. There's nothing really holding the stock up. I mean, if it comes out with a positive article, the stock pops 50 cents. If nothing comes out the following day, it falls 50 cents. There's really nothing. It's kind of being traded right now in a vacuum. And I think that's, that's indicative of a company like this that's in the first innings, really, of rolling out and looking to revolutionize the commercial vehicle space, Class 8. So very exciting stuff. But wanted to give a plug to Blood Phantom. He's one of my favorites. One of those that if you've won my respect, you're probably doing something right. And I don't mean that to toot my own horn, but I just don't have a lot of time to listen to a lot of people that blah blah and talk as if their discussion is the all-knowing everything on YouTube, because in stock market investing, I don't think there's a whole lot of place for that. I think there's a lot of place for deliberate conversation, debate. Yes, absolutely. Due diligence and reading, the ability to assess and take risk where appropriate. Be calculative and careful with your risk. Nobody asks me about the majority of my Hyliion holding, about 5,200 shares, under the tax protection of the Roth IRA. For crying out loud, if this company goes bananas, not only am I going to be sitting on some fat ass profits, but they're going to be tax protected to boot. So I don't know. Call me crazy. Could it happen? I don't know. Probably not. I've never been lucky in my life. I've worked for everything I've got. It just so happens to be the timing is such that I'm rolling out the investment of a lifetime and living it with you kind folks. So we'll continue to roll it out. We'll continue to chronicle the hold, guys. So I'm going to jump in real quick, and I'm going to cover the portfolios. We were down just a touch again. We're in summer, so I spend a lot more time paying attention to other things other than the stock market. So not a lot of moves. Amazon went bananas. That was some really nice work on my end to pick back up on those 5 shares on that swoon low. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about that a little bit, but back in Amazon with 5 shares. So we're up handily in the stock now. I was tempted to swing trade. That is just the easiest $1,000 that you could make in a 2-day swing on a company. It's just gone gangbusters. But Amazon is really a company where I want to be. So we kept it in here. It takes up a nice lion's share of the discretionary space in the total portfolio, which I'm satisfied with. VTI. We had half the position there. We're at 50 shares. I did liquidate and put that money to cash. That's where that 7% cash comes from. The Hyliion position, I bought 400 more shares today. So you're crazy, Ryan. Yeah, what's new? I'm crazy. I sleep well. I had the most fun today. I bought the Hyliion shares right at the end of the market, a couple minutes to spare anyway. Then I came home and threw the football around the pool with the kid for a little bit. Yeah, I'm crazy. But doing really, really well. Otherwise, no changes in this portfolio at all to speak of. Nothing too crazy to note either. Just the action in all of the FANG stocks was remarkable this week. There's just no doubt about it. These are just some powerful companies in Facebook and Google and Amazon as well. Apple and Microsoft, and they're heavily in the black as well for me. And we've got some big positions there. Moving on, this is the Roth number one. This is fully invested. Not a whole lot of cash to speak of. The Facebook position there is an awful big position. We're down marginally week over week, nothing too crazy. I have a weird feeling about this stock market. It doesn't feel right with me. I think my hesitation on the stock market is the looming roll off of forbearance and a bubble, not a pocket bubble, but a bubble across the U.S. created by some specific price and demand issues with the supply chain, lumber specifically, and I think it's unfortunately pushing up some prices on housing to levels that it shouldn't be at. And I think there's going to be some people who have taken advantage of forbearance. If they're not careful, they're going to end up in trouble come this August. And I think that could be a systemic shock to the stock market. We will see. So right now, I'm continuing to dollar cost average to the buckets. I'm being aggressive in saving to cash. I'm certainly not being aggressive on my stock market application, except for Hyliion, because that's where I see the risk reward profile is like screaming at me, hit me on the head. See, for me, it is one of those neon bows that's right above the stock. And I'm like, that's what I want to buy. That's what I want to buy. So that's what I did. The rest of the positions are fine. They're not going anywhere. So that's Roth number one. This is Roth number two. Alibaba, very disappointed in the action there. I thought it was it had run up off of its base. It ran right back down through its 210 price where I thought support was. It came back a little bit today, but very disappointed there. But Google, very, very nice action in ExxonMobil today. Speak of the devil, very, very nice. And then the other positions there, you can see marginally up in the small portfolio that could. This sucker just keeps on chugging along, making a little dab of profit. $100 here, $100 there. Little dividends here, little dividends there. This is one of those portfolios that I spend zero time stressing out about. I don't end up in a Yahoo thread talking about my specialty ETF portfolio. It's just busy making me a little dab of money every week. Here and there, a little dab of money, man. Passive investing. It's legit. So if you guys that have been tuning in for me a long time know that I'm a staunch believer in passive investing. And hell, the market was up 500 points today. It might have come off a touch at the end of the market, but my passive investing, my S&P 500 from Vanguard is, Jesus Christ, just to make a person wealthy. It's really nice. I can't promise that that's going to remain true over the next 5 years, 10 years. You know, what is the risk reward profile from, you know, a startup company on the wave of some really exciting technology like Hyliion compared to the S&P 500, right? From here going forward, you'd say, man, it looks attractive. Looking back, you would say you'd be crazy to do anything other than invest in the S&P, because the last 12 years it's just been on an absolute tear. The S&P has just really made some crazy wealth, and I'm an example of that to some extent. Guys that know me, gals that have followed my channel for a long time, knows that I've been kind of cautiously optimistic on this market for many years. And has it cost me? Probably. going against the old onus, not to try to time the market. Just spend your time in the market. And more importantly, maybe spend your time doing other things rather than manifesting over the day-to-day moves in the stock market. I don't know. That's some candid and robust talk right there, that if you can really adhere to in the majority capacity within your stock portfolio, you'll probably be better off for it, right? I just not only adhere to diversification within the portfolio, but also strategy diversification, right? I deploy a pretty good element of different strategies. And I'm my conviction in each of the strategies is pretty strong. Like I love dividend growth investing for what it is. Is my dividend growth portfolio going to give me the renderings or the profit potential that one holding in Hyliion can give me? Yeah, probably not, right? But it's going to continue that inflow of dividends for that bulk of wealth that I have devoted to that element or that strategy within my portfolio. The growth element with Amazon, Facebook, Google, some Apple, Microsoft, even though they pay dividends, right, can be put into that higher growth big tech category, right? So a lot of different facets of the portfolio. And I think if there's a takeaway for you guys that are looking to get involved in investing, it's relative. You don't have to start with, millions and millions of dollars. You don't have to start with hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can start with a few grand, start with a few $100. But again, when you start to dabble in the stock market with a few $100, I would question your devotion to the craft. Yeah. It's only going to be profitable if you really do kind of buy into the element of the more that you have, the more that you're going to make. All right. So here's the 71, just marginally down week over week. This is a 71 stock portfolio that I have through M1. I think it's up to 72 now, actually. Yeah, it's a fun way of investing. I put this in my dividend growth category. It's an element, it's an angle of said strategy. It complements some of my larger holdings in the larger portfolio, Procter & Gamble, 3M, right? Some of those large Kimberly-Clark, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, those types of elements of the portfolio, right? You notice how sometimes I don't even call them stock. They're elements of wealth building, right? Or at least historically have been proven that Coca-Cola, at least for the last 54 years, has paid a dividend. So I'm pretty sure that it's going to pay next quarter, right? So although I don't want to say that there's certain guarantees in the stock market, if you collectively put the dividend growth strategy, for example, in a bucket, you can kind of put some expected rates of performance. And also, it kind of allows you the opportunity to use your imagination and not expect too much out of that strategy, right? Like my expectations and my range for what to expect from a company like Hyliion compared to my dividend growth, completely different. And that's the mature, advanced mindset that I would expect each and every one of you try to achieve in your stock market application. In that, my thrift savings plan that I've got, I don't apply the same level of thought or monitoring strategy in that. Okay. I don't provide the same level of active monitoring within my three larger accounts than I do in my M1 account, this account, right? I dollar cost average this. It's totally fine. Okay. My American Express, my MasterCard, Eli Lilly, right? Nike, some of these companies that I don't really want to hold in a large amount. Amgen is in this. 71 awesome portfolios. I roll this out pretty frequently on the channel, and I share the link openly with you guys on how I kind of break this down across the 10 sectors minus real estate and S&P 500. It's a fun way to invest. I enjoy it. It's cool. If this sucker gets up to 100 grand, which I'm 1/5 of the way there, I'll be there eventually. It's all about time and the time value of this money as I dollar cost average it. I've owned this account for 2 years. Jesus, guys, like, what is your expectation about the stock market if you don't tune into somebody like myself and be like, he's small time, he sucks, he doesn't know what his wealth actually goes down 2 weeks in a row. He's a shitty investor, right? That's like, I'm a realistic investor, man. Like this is real. I don't have all kinds of, work income to flow in here and manufacture all these and pump them up and show myself as the greatest investor on the earth. I've been around the block a few times. I'll just save you the time and effort and tell you that that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You want to adhere to a program, you want to be robust and get candid talk about stock market investing, try dollar cost averaging to your buckets every month and live to fight another day, because that's what's going to work for you. Okay. Trying to aspire to wealth that Ryan on the Independent Investor channel comes and just declares to you every week is going to be futile. Okay. I've got caught up in this a few times where it's been like, man, do I need to go this way? Got to second guess my program. My program's kicking ass, right? But the human, can I do better? Can I do better? And people start answering. It's like, is Ryan really, is he really worth following? It's like, no, man, you're missing the point. I advocate for how I roll this out. I would expect that each and every one of you guys look at what's going to work for you and look to make sense of it for you. Okay. Don't allow me to manufacture that motivation for you, man. This stuff has to make sense to you and why you roll out. That's why it makes it easier if you have multiple strategies. That way, I'm passive, Ryan. I'm a passive investor. Well, it's been easy to be a passive investor the last 10 years. Okay. Come and talk to me about VTI and VOO in a down market. You're going to be like, this sucks, Ryan. This is not what I signed up to. My market's down 30, 40%. My account's getting crushed. Ryan, this sucks, man. You've been talking about VTI, VOO the last 5 years. God dang it. It was like, it made you a fortune while it was making you a fortune. Okay. I've said many, many times when these ETFs are down, what do? Oh, damn, I get pissed off at Ryan. No, that's not what you do. You buy more. It's really, really simple. All right. Is it going to be candid? Get under your skin a little bit. It's okay. Most people need to hear this because mark my word, if we get a hiccup in this market, I'm going to have people coming to me wanting to throw tomatoes at the Independent Investor channel to make themselves feel better because their VTI that's whipped ass and has just absolutely gone gangbusters for the last 10 years, made them a small fortune, is now actually going down for a month or two. Have a little perspective with me, guys. I don't mean to be so candid and forward, but yeah, I kind of do. All right. Here's the TSP chugging right along. Very cool stuff. The options contracts, I'm running the risk of having some 5 Hyliion contracts put to me, which is fine. I'll buy them at 11. No big deal. You see how much I'm concerned about them. I bought the stock outright today because I actually think it's going to be above 11 by the 16th. And that's just my call. We'll see what happens. All right. But we live to fight another day. Those are my long contracts there. The 10s at 10 and the 8s at 12.50s until 2023. I still hold the Wish puts at 7.50 and the Hyliion puts at 11 respectively. So that's the options action for all you options gurus out there. And there's the portfolio marginally down a little bit. Again, second week in a row here. I'm fine. I would expect that you do the same. Be fine. It's okay. I haven't changed my application. No, doesn't change a thing. These are invested dollars that I've asked to behave like invested dollars. And you want to know something? I don't get surprised. I don't get excited. I don't get fired up. I don't lose sleep when these invested dollars act like invested dollars. Okay. That's just the perception that you've got to have. Stop looking at your wealth and thinking that you can control everything. Okay. The reason why people justify buying that half a car for $10,000, let's say they opt to buy an entirely whole car for $25,000. It's completely justified to enter into a transaction like that. You want to know why? Because it's predictable. It's predictable. Okay. The problem that people have with an investment like Hyliion, even though the risk reward profile is there, is that they watch it go down one day and it's like they freak out. Okay. Because it's not predictable. They don't know if they're going to lose everything they have. Right. You start to lose track if it goes down 4 out of 5 days in a week. You start to lose track of that long-term vision. God dang it. Ryan talks about 2024. That's so freaking, I might not even be here. God dang it. That $40 that I just blew on Hyliion this week, man. I could have went out and bought a half a car. God dang it. Ryan, you asshole. So much fun, man. You gotta have a good time on this gig, man. Let's get to some questions. I got 10 minutes left. I said it was the longest 10 minutes. There's no doubt about it, man. Hey, man. All right. Got an OG on the channel. I'm sorry, man. I've been kicked over on another screen, man. Very cool. What's your email? Would love to shoot you an idea. Fantastic. Well, my email is ryan.independentinvestor@gmail.com. That is ryan.independentinvestor@gmail.com. So I'll get a bunch of spam. I have 1,000 people hit me up in emails. Ryan, you're awesome. Or, hey, you suck, man. Or, hey, that live stream was awesome, man. You taught us how to buy half a car. That'd be awesome. So anyway, it's great to see you, man. Great to see you. You've been staunch supporter of the message, and you fall into that category of channels that I absolutely look to support. And just a good person, very sincere in the message. I'm looking to advocate for retail investors and spread the word about how, yeah, lucrative this opportunity can be at times. It's not going to be lucrative all the time, but that's investing, baby. And I think the more retail investors can buy into this idea to stop trying to apply what it is that you know about stock market investing to this gig, because it's different. Your mental aptitude, your mental application, man, it's got to be defined within the wheelhouse of investing and investing alone. Okay. You're not going to be able to apply emotion to this gig. That's the worst thing that you can do. And that's what a lot of people opt to do, is they default to what they know. Okay. Instead of try to put yourself in a position or a mental evolved state in a place where you don't know, right? And this is a lot of what I find when they come back to the channel. And I think a lot of people are looking for that little bit of substantiation, a little bit of support, man, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of motivation. No problem, man. Don't take this the wrong way, man, because nobody out there, you say the financial institutions, man, that they're the all-knowing, well, they're investing your money. Okay. They're not investing their own money. We, as independent investors, are investing our own money. That's why we have more stock, no pun intended, in our independent investing program, right? That's why it hurts more. That's why it feels really, really good when it goes up, okay? Psychologically, we are much more in tune with losses than we are gains, okay? So pretty interesting stuff. There's no doubt about it. So Pallister Rima is lucid. So he's got a couple really good ones that he's covering here. Jason's popped in here at the bottom of the gallery, and I'm obviously not going to get to all of the questions. I was obviously on a tangent tonight, which is pretty typical of the Independent Investor Channel live stream. And this is really a special treat for me to come on and roll this out. But Jason's on a few hot ones there for sure. We need to get some heat in my portfolio, Jason. What do we do? Do I cheerlead? No, man. I actually think that the element of success is going to be time. Yeah, it's going to be time. That's just, and I think he would agree with me on this as well. So it's just made every bit of sense. Every stock, every share that I've bought in these companies that I've got thus far. And you guys can see the lack of changeover in the portfolios from week to week. Not a lot of changes. The portfolio set, I got it on autopilot right now. It's doing what it needs to do. I'm good to go. I'm fine. I'm really taking a nice break from YouTube. Obviously, the constant uploads to the channel, are easy enough to make, just because I enjoy those portfolio reviews, but I can do them with very little time commitment, and it keeps the message fresh. You guys can check back in with the message, and quite frankly, that's what I want to do right now. So that's what I do. I'm focused in on my work, and just turned over a new leaf there, but we'll leave that alone for now, and hopefully keep our fingers crossed, man. Things are absolutely looking up, man. You guys know I am absolutely a staunch believer in hard work. I believe at the end of the day, hard work sometimes doesn't pay off. But at the end of the day, that's really kind of the fuel that fires me, in that I need to have meaning in what I do. I need to really enjoy what it is that I do. And I just had a recent shakeup, which has kind of lit a fire in me, and it's felt really good. And it feels really good because I was down there for a while. I was a bit down. It's like when you work that hard at something and it doesn't work out quite the way that you want it to work out, and you're kind of like, man, alive, I could kind of do away with this feeling. You know what I mean? It's not cool, but it brings you home, lets you realize that if things were just great and hunky dory every day, maybe that would get boring. I think the feeling of when you come out of that, you really realize that things are better than you think that they are. You allow yourself to slip into that mental funk, and you find a way out of it. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for sure. And I appreciate the opportunity for you guys to come in and share the opportunity with me as well, right? Sarah's in the group. Sarah loves Stag. Stag's a good play right here. $37, $38 a share. You bet. Nice 4% yielder. You bet. Nice REIT. I like it. I don't own it here, but it's a good one for sure. Jamming in a Roth IRA. Wait, no, I'm not all in. I got a big position. This is the biggest position I've ever had. I've held a couple $50,000 positions in stock before, and I hated it. And I've held this for a long, long time. Double that, for crying out loud. This is easy. This is easy to hold this company. We're good to go. I'd feel a little more comfortable if it gets up to into the high teens, which all the price targets have it as. I'll have really a lot of pay dirt, a lot of sleep easy. I'll be sitting on profit, and then the game won't be necessarily my conviction in the company. It'll be like from there making the decision, which will be the toughest, to hold to my targets, to hold to the decision point, because I just think the bulk of the profits with this company are going to be made later on down the line. They're going to be made later. And I'm sorry if that comes across as a scapegoat, but that's just like, there's nothing really that exciting going on from the production standpoint now to really sink your teeth into. And I think the potential to make that happen is right around the corner. It's going to happen. And when it does, I think the dynamic of the company changes immensely. And I think the potential is going to, I mean, they're looking to go after domestic market. What happens when they start to go after international, which quite frankly, the green initiative is more socially acceptable internationally. So that's where I think the sky is the limit, and it's going to be incumbent upon me to make the life and investing decision that's indicative of what I should do based on what the company's doing at the time of my recheck and due diligence when it reaches my first price target. But we're not there yet. When we get there, I will do it, and I'll chronicle the whole thing. I have no problem with being transparent about what I'm looking at. Stock market is not scary. It's not some mystical freaking place. You know what I'm saying? So it says I'm here for Matt and Ryan. You betcha, man. Thank you, Jay. I hope you're enjoying your new house, man. That's pretty awesome. Super stoked for you. Super stoked, man. That's gotta freaking feel good. Absolutely. These two idiots are going back and forth. I'm here for Jason. I love these guys, man. They're my friends through social media. I've never met them in person too, for sure. But there is an intangible benefit to this project that we roll out here. We gain a few subscribers here and there. We're helping people, which is a very noble message. And you get my best message every single Friday. I roll this out very consistently every Friday. And I've been kind of taking the reins here for the last few weeks, because I think when I have more guests on the channel, it kind of takes me out of my element, and that I can't get in my zone very good, because I end up, balancing the conversation between a guest. And I like doing it. I like doing it. I thank you guys for the opportunity to come on. Guys, also join the Hyliion Discord. Sure. So thank you, Rick. I really appreciate that. And there was a guest in the very, very beginning, The Verge, who was asking me about the Hyliion holding, wanted to know. And that's where some of my retort, look, he was the first one in the live stream, or she. I don't know if it was a he or she. I shouldn't do that through social media. But to give my response, man, that was the question asked of me. And I have no problem given my insights to the best of my ability. But certainly there was some guests in the live stream tonight from the Discord group, the Hyliion Investors Discord. So I know there's a lot of bulls here in the community that are interested in the company. If you're interested in that, kick over and check that stuff out, man. It's very, very cool. I'm kind of scanning through, man, a little bit. Jay says he loves the Hyliion. This is a millionaire maker, no doubt. Oh, Jesus. Where do I go with that in 30 seconds? I'll leave that one alone. We will see. I don't know. I don't know when, but I would agree with Jason in saying that it's inevitable. I really do. It's going to be fun to be an investor in this company. And if you can get in the ground floor of a company right now, doing some exciting things at $10, ask yourself, is it worth the shot? If you don't want to buy the stock outright, buy the long calls. You know what I'm saying? Don't obligate yourself to the shares. Obligate your shares self to the shares at the price that you determine. Buy some $10 calls to 2023, right? At $10 strike. Now, what the heck? Lots of opportunities, man. We do the best we can to foot stomp those opportunities. I am with Jason on this. I just want to be careful with the deliberation. And if and when the stock does what I think it's going to do, I will be there. And it is what it is. It's totally fine. I'm going to give it all to my kids anyway. It'll free me up to do what it is that I need to do. Maybe give a little validation to the project, allow me to hit the road and do what it is I want to do, and that's speak at venues. That's what I want to do. I want to speak at venues, and there's no better resume opportunity than what I provide every single Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on the Independent Investor Channel, man. I'd invite you to be frequent on the channel. If you're new to the channel, to make certain subscribe, you get notified of the videos I put through on the channel, man. This was a very enjoyable live stream. I want to thank all the guests, certainly. But most importantly, I want to thank the subscribers to the message who, in fact, own a piece of the channel. Right, their successes just help me as an advocate to the message in really proving one investor at a time that this stuff absolutely works. And it's just an absolute honor for me to be an ambassador of the message, bring people together for once a week, every 60 minutes on the fastest 60 minutes on YouTube. Guys, take care. Have a great weekend. And we'll catch you next Friday, the Independent Investor Channel live stream.